Happy Sunday. This is January 11th. This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. I just wanted to say a few things about the semaphore interview that Ryan Lizza did with Max Tellany and Ben Smith. Really, my takeaways have to do with the media, and I'm absolutely floored, really, by the constant question that Ryan Lizza gets about why did you write this? Why do this? Why write this thing? For people who don't know this story, effectively what happened was Ryan Lizza was engaged to another journalist, Olivia Nuzzi. The two of them had a major book deal, and it turned out, to make a very long story short, that she was engaging in extremely unethical activity with two of the sources that she was covering in the run up to the 2024 presidential campaign. One of them being Mark Sanford, the other being Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That alone is like an incredible thing to think about. At any rate, he then she then creates a fictitious, really nonsense, retaliatory court action that, of course, she later drops, which is exactly what people do when you have a court action that's nonsense, is they drop it when you're about to actually testify under oath. They suddenly disappear when, oh, that's right, now we're doing consequences for lying. Okay, so at any rate, Ryan Lizza is a reporter. He did an interview a few days ago with Semaphore, and there were two things that just got my attention that were like such an example of why I like saying that the media is just a joke as a profession. I mean, the fact that this happened, and I'm going to just play what he says and then talk about it right after. It has to do with the accuracy, the truth being out, getting the truth out. And when the truth is inconvenient and when no one wants to hear it, how difficult that is.
People always ask, like, why didn't I get this out? Why didn't I get this out? I tried to write it for Politico. That didn't work out for reasons I explained. I went to the publisher of Avid Reader Press, sat down for like a 2-hour lunch at the Harvard Club, and explained just about everything that I ended up writing in the Bamboo series. And I thought, okay, these guys now know that they've got like a Stephen Glass, Jason Blair person in their midst. They should go do some due diligence. And then that never happened. So Simon & Schuster knew just about everything that I've published. I laid out that entire story for them.
So if you look at the reporting around what happened with Olivia Nuzzi, the New York Times, New York, Semaphore, Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair hires her for a job. Of course, they later figure out that's not a great idea, and they dismiss her. But everyone's writing about this. He's in the background telling people what's actually going on, and they're ignoring him. Nobody says, wait a minute, we got a guy that is in a position to know the truth, who was the fiance of this person, and he's telling us not only that certain elements are not true, but that in fact she is working for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the sense of providing him strategy. And this gets mentioned twice.
Okay. The New York Times knew the night before they published that story. I told them everything. Politico knew. They never pursued the story. And, and Vanity Fair should have known. Vanity Fair should have known. I told Sean McCreesh everything. Sean McCreesh is the boyfriend of the editor of Vanity Fair. And instead of warning him, like, hey, this person's, ex-fiance says that she was doing catch and kill operations for Kennedy, Sean recommended her for the job.
So he's telling them in the background at Vanity Fair, this woman is engaged in huge journalistic malpractice. And they hire her anyway as the West Coast editor. He tells the New York Times what's going on in the background, and they do this whole big puff piece, this whole big PR puff piece on Olivia Nuzzi. You got to be kidding me. And this is why I like saying over and over again that we've reached a point in the media where the truth doesn't matter anymore. The truth should be guarded more than anything. But what you find is that the only thing that some of these media companies are interested in is the most salacious version of events that they could put together into what in this case is a story of fiction. It's actually just fiction writing. And then when somebody comes along and tells them that's not true, this is what really happened, they're not interested. And that is scary as hell. I've seen it a few times in some of the crisis management situations I've been in where it was so hard to get anyone to pay any attention to what the truth was. As messy though it may have been, nobody wanted to hear it. And particularly in a Me Too context, what I see is that the New York Times loves to write a Me Too story until they find out all the facts and all the truth behind it. Then suddenly they don't want to write it anymore because it starts going in the direction quite often of, wait a minute, this person we were writing about that we thought was such a big victim is actually not the victim of anything. But they want the story that they want, regardless of what the facts are. And this is scary to watch because Ryan Lizza is a journalist that's been around for a while, probably friends or knows the people he's talking with that he's warning and sending up a red flag, and they're still not listening to him. Now it comes up again at minute 43. Let me see here. Max Toddy asks,
in your life, both professionally and personally, have thought about this?
It's been polarizing. I mean, I think one thing that I didn't consider enough was how it was going to affect some people that I'm personally close to. I mean, just to be perfectly candid, it's been.
Now, see, this is about the question of people in his life that were impacted that didn't want him to write it or did want him to write it. This is a little bit earlier than I thought. It's minute 46 where this comes up again.
And what they see on social media and clips. And so
Ben has definitely read the whole thing.
All right.
I read it. I paid my $79 to tell us.
So anyway, it's been what you think it would be. It's been polarized. It wasn't but I think the people who mattered the most to me, for the most part, believed what I believed, is that it was not a great choice either way, but that I had to tell some version of this story and, first of all, correct the record on my own behalf, but also let the media know that there were these sort of journalistic crimes that were committed.
Now, he keeps getting asked during this interview in one way or the other, why did you do this? Which I find that to be a strange question, a very strange question. And I also find it to be a question that would not be asked if he was female. If he was a woman, it would be, oh, she's telling her truth. And wow, isn't that great? But it's a man, and what we project on the men is shut up. Don't talk about it, move on, get over it. It's not that we don't do that to women too, but we with this type of subject matter, we typically are encouraging women to tell everything. I don't know that I've ever seen an interview with more questions about, well, why did you do this and why did you put this out? You know it's a man when you start getting that question over and over again.
That were never uncovered because New York Magazine at the end of the day didn't want to get to the bottom of it. I hate to criticize them because they were victimized in this whole thing, but I sent them a long memo and said, these are the questions you need to ask in this investigation. So after I learned there was going to be an investigation, I privately sent a very detailed memo and said, you need to ask this, has this ever happened before? Were any journalistic lines crossed? Were catch and kill operations done on behalf of Kennedy? Did she write strategy memos to him? Did she become a political operative for him? I laid it all out in a series of questions. And frankly, there was no evidence that they ever pursued any of that.
So think about that. He sends New York Magazine a memo telling them, you need to ask Olivia this, and that. Now, he is in a unique position to know everything that was going on. He's actually probably the only person that was in a unique position to know what was really going on. And they don't do anything. They don't pursue that. They don't say, well, wait a minute. We need to maybe this is going to be different than what we thought it was. See, that right there is very familiar to me. Very familiar to me. Once a lot of these journalists lock in on a certain ideological story that they want, it is extremely difficult, no matter what facts you show them, court records, court audio. It's hard for them to turn the steering wheel. They've decided in their head, huge degree of confirmation bias, that this is the story. Oh my God, blonde superstar reporter, she's this, she's that, she's the other thing. And then you come along with facts and they don't want to hear that. That was, for me, those were the two moments in this interview where I was like, wow, journalism has a huge problem. This is what I mean by there are no rules in journalism. People make up rules. Every news organization has sets of rules. And then when they get it wrong, there's no punishment. In this case, there was punishment because Lizzo laid out in detail on his own platform what exactly happened here. Now, had it not been for the fact that he laid out on his own platform what happened, it would have never been uncovered. I can't believe the people who are saying to him, oh my God, why did you write this and why did you bring it out? Are you kidding me? Why are they so content and so comfortable with the idea of people going to their grave with the truth and then somebody getting away with a massive lie, a massive misrepresentation of what actually happened? Why is everybody so comfortable with that? In the media, these are all media people that we're talking about. And I suspect when he doesn't really specify, but when he says the part about, I have people in my life that have told me not to write about this, and then you saw Ben Smith himself say, why are you writing about this? These are media people. These are media people. This is the group of people who should care about the truth getting out. And he's having to convince them that the truth should come out. They're not saying to him, hey, good thing you wrote all that because we would have never known what was really going on back there. And you see, the thing about this Ryan Lizza thing is this happens more than people think. That something gets published in the paper. And when I mean the paper, I'm talking about the Washington Post and the New York Times. One of the offenders in this story is the New York Times. The New York Times who's never wrong. They're never wrong about anything. They're never wrong about anything, New York Times. Never get anything wrong. They put that ridiculous story up, that puff piece story by Carl Bernstein's son about how amazing and there's going to be a turnaround with Olivia Nuzzi and oh, she's got a new job. And it was all nonsense. They got taken. They got had. They got embarrassed. They look ridiculous. And of course, they never come back out and say, wow, we found some more facts out. This is what really, of course, that never happens. They never want to admit when they look ridiculous. And they did look ridiculous. And on top of that, we find out that Lizzo was in the background telling everybody, hey, whoa, heads up, red flag, you should know this and know that. And nobody paid any attention to that. Nobody paid any attention to that. It's very familiar to a particular case that I've had to deal with in politics out of Virginia. That's another video. But all the things that Lizzo went through in this, I know exactly what he's talking about. You tell a news organization what's really going on, but not just tell them, show them, more importantly, show them in the form of documents. And they just shrug their shoulders. And that's why I think that we do have Substack, we do have YouTube channels with people talking because people have thrown their hands up. They've given up trying to convince somebody at the New York Times or the Washington Post is not listening and not returning phone calls and not returning emails. What the F? You might as well just put it out there. You might as well just put it out there on social media. We've seen people do that a few times where they've just put stuff out on social media that blew up a news organization a little bit. And I think that works better than having to deal with the news organization. Reporters hate it. Reporters always say, please come to me. Don't go to my editor if you have an issue. Why? Most of the time that doesn't work. And this is a stunning example because he is not a rookie reporter. I mean, Ryan Lizza is a younger Gen Xer who's been around for a long time. Everybody knows who he is. And I guarantee you that some of the people he was talking to had known him for years, and they still didn't listen to him. So what chance does the normal, average, everyday person have? So I just wanted to bring those two things up. It's a good interview by Semaphore. A lot to talk about today. There's a lot going on today, and I'm trying to get it in before football starts. Although I'm not really particularly interested in the teams playing today, but today is Jan 11, 2026. This is Lauren Burke, and I'll be back next week.
Somewhere. What's going on? Thank you. Are you watching now?
Yeah. No, I was watching on the left, but it's excellent. I love it. I love the traffic's blowing up. You were in Brooklyn last night. Where?
I was in Bushwick.
Okay, I have my grandmother's house in Crown Heights.
Oh, yeah.
So when I saw you, I was trying to look at what the pizza place was to see where.
As soon as we got there, someone recognized the pizza place. They're like, we gotta get out of here. Someone in.
Get out. It was great.
Blowing up our spot.
This show was freaking fantastic.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it, man. Love it.